As the CEO of quantum core mining, I've always craved the thrill of the unknown. I've navigated asteroid fields, walked barren moons, and even witnessed stars on the verge of collapse. Yet nothing in my vast experience could have prepared me for what awaited in the Reval Belt. Uncharted planetary body detected, Eve, my ship's AI, announced in her perpetually calm voice, breaking the silence. I was midway through a sip of synth whiskey when her words froze me mid-motion. Coordinates? I asked, already feeling the familiar tug of curiosity. A holographic map materialized on the console, highlighting a faint blinking dot in a distant and forgotten corner of the cosmos. Let's take a look, I muttered, steering the Endeavor toward the unknown. From orbit, the planet unfolded like a masterpiece on a celestial canvas, a swirl of vibrant blues and greens, with shimmering purple pools nestled amid lush vegetation. It was pristine, untouched, like a world carved from an ancient myth. The descent was smooth, and once I landed, I geared up. My standard exploration kit included an exosuit, a multi-tool, and my trusty ENR translator, AI, essential for deciphering the countless dialects scattered across the stars. The moment I stepped outside, I was struck by the air. It was breathable, tinged with a heady mix of floral sweetness and earthy musk. Towering plants surrounded me, their bioluminescent leaves casting a surreal glow. It was mesmerizing, almost otherworldly. And then I saw her. She stood near the edge of a violet-hued pond, her tall, striking figure illuminated by the soft luminescence around us. Her skin was a deep, shimmering blue, catching the light like polished sapphire, and her piercing pink eyes locked onto mine with a fierce intensity. She was adorned in a delicate web of intricate metallic threads that left just enough to stir the imagination. "Hello there," I called out, raising my hands in a universal gesture of peace. She tilted her head, her expression unreadable, before speaking in a melodious yet incomprehensible tongue. I reached for the translator, slipping it into my ear before offering her a spare. "Try this," I said gently. She studied it, her delicate fingers tracing its shape, before placing it in her ear. "What manner of being are you?" she asked, her voice clear now, resonant with curiosity. "Human," I replied with a grin. "And you?" "I am Para," she said, a faint smile curving her lips. "You are unusual. I have never seen one like you." I chuckled. "I could say the same about you. What is this place?" "It is our home," she answered simply. "We call it Ivani. It is quiet, hidden." Her gaze lingered on me, a mix of curiosity and something else. "You are attractive." I blinked in surprise, then managed a laugh. "Thanks. You're not so bad yourself." She stepped closer, her intense gaze unwavering. "Perhaps you would like to be my mate." The bluntness caught me off guard. "That's a first," I stammered, attempting levity. "Usually there's dinner first." "Dinner?" she repeated, tilting her head in confusion. "You know, food. Something to eat." Understanding dawned in her expression. "Ah, yes, I shall provide for you." Without hesitation, she dove into the pond, her lithe form disappearing beneath the surface. Moments later, she resurfaced, clutching a wriggling, iridescent fish-like creature. With deft movements, she gathered wood and lit a small fire. The aroma of roasting fish soon filled the air, rich and savory. "Impressive," I admitted, settling beside her. We shared the meal, and the taste was like nothing I'd ever experienced. Rich, complex, and utterly unique. As the fire crackled, I told her about Earth, humanity, and the endless vastness I had traveled. She listened with wide-eyed wonder, absorbing every word. When the meal was finished, she stood, extending her hand. "Show me your vessel." I led her to the Endeavor, its polished hull gleaming under Ivani's alien sky. Para's fingers traced the sleek lines with awe. "Your world must be filled with wonders," she murmured. "It has its moments," I replied with a grin. She turned to face me, her expression serious. "I meant what I said earlier. I wish for you to be my mate." Her intensity left me speechless. "You don't waste time, do you?" Para stepped closer, her voice soft but firm. "We do not live long, human. We cherish every moment." There was an urgency in her tone that I couldn't ignore. Throwing caution to the wind, I nodded. "All right, Para. Let's see where this goes. Her smile lit up her face, radiant and full of life. Without another word, she led me back into the vibrant wilderness. The alien night was alive with sound, chirping creatures, rustling leaves, and the soft ripple of water. Beneath the glowing canopy of bioluminescent leaves, the air felt alive with possibility. Perra's touch was gentle yet insistent as her fingers traced intricate patterns on my skin. There was an innocence to her, but beneath it lay a raw, primal passion. Under the alien sky, we came together, our bodies entwined in a union of two worlds. Afterward, we lay side by side, her warmth pressed against me, a reminder of just how different yet similar we were. "You are pleasing," she whispered, her voice soft and filled with quiet satisfaction. I couldn't help but chuckle. Glad to hear it. As sleep tugged at me, my mind wandered. What would tomorrow bring? This uncharted world, this enigmatic woman, it was shaping up to be one unforgettable adventure. I woke to the soft rustle of leaves and the gentle hum of Avani's wildlife. The air was crisp and fresh, carrying faint floral notes. Para was already awake, sitting cross-legged beside me, her glowing pink eyes fixed on my face. In the morning light, her skin shimmered like a living jewel. "You sleep deeply," she remarked, a playful lilt to her voice. "Comes with the job," I replied, stretching. "Exploration takes its toll." She reached out, her fingers brushing my cheek. "Your skin is warm. It is comforting." Taking her hand in mine, I marveled at the juxtaposition of her delicate yet strong touch. "You're full of surprises, Para." Her lips curved into a mischievous smile. "There is much you do not know about me." "Then let's fix that." I sat up, leaning toward her. "Tell me about your people." Para's expression grew thoughtful, her gaze turning to the horizon. "We are the Iani. We live in harmony with our world, taking only what we need. Our lives are brief, but we find joy in every moment." I nodded, fascinated. "And this mating thing? Is it always so direct?" She laughed softly, a sound like chimes in the breeze. "We do not waste time with unnecessary rituals. When we feel a connection, we act on it." I leaned closer, our faces just inches apart. "Like this?" Her glowing eyes locked onto mine, flickering with curiosity and longing. "Yes," she murmured, "like this." Our lips met in a tentative kiss that quickly deepened, her touch sending an electric warmth coursing through me. When we finally pulled away, breathless, she rested her forehead against mine. "You are different," she whispered, her voice carrying a hint of wonder. "But I like it." Smiling, I ran my fingers gently through her hair. I could get used to this. The day unfolded with exploration. Para led me through dense forests teeming with life, pointing out plants and creatures with infectious enthusiasm. Each discovery, from vividly colored blooms to shimmering insect-like beings, deepened my awe for this untouched paradise. At one point, we stumbled upon a field of radiant flowers, their petals glowing like liquid light. Para plucked one and tucked it behind her ear, the contrast against her sapphire skin breathtaking. "Beautiful," I murmured. Her cheeks darkened to a deep indigo, a blush that made her even more captivating. "Thank you, human." "Call me Henry," I said, flashing a grin. "We're past formalities now." "Henry," she repeated, testing the word as if savoring its taste. "It suits you." As the sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, we returned to the pond where we had first met. The water sparkled in the fading light, and Para turned to me, her expression somber. "You will leave soon, won't you?" she asked, her voice tinged with sadness. I sighed, my heart heavy. "I have responsibilities back home, but I'll come back. I promise." Her gaze dropped, fingers absently tracing patterns in the sand. "I will wait for you." I gently lifted her chin, our eyes meeting. "I won't keep you waiting long." She smiled, though the sadness lingered in her eyes. "You are a good man, Henry." We sat in silence, watching the stars pierce the twilight. The bond between us had grown, an unspoken connection that I knew would make leaving harder than I had anticipated. As night deepened, we made our way back to the ship. Para leaned against me, her presence grounding and comforting. I wrapped an arm around her, holding her close as we walked beneath the glowing canopy of Avani's night. Tomorrow loomed, uncertain and bittersweet. We say goodbye, she whispered softly. I nodded, pressing a gentle kiss to her temple. But not forever. The next morning, as I prepared to leave, Para stood beside the ship, her glowing eyes shimmering with unshed tears. Safe travels, Henry, she said, her voice trembling with emotion. I cupped her face in my hands, our foreheads touching, as I tried to convey the depth of my promise. I'll be back before you know it. She nodded, stepping back as the ship's engines roared to life. As the Endeavor lifted off, her figure grew smaller, shrinking into a distant dot on the vibrant alien landscape. My heart ached in a way I hadn't experienced before. Despite all the places I'd explored and the wonders I'd witnessed, nothing had prepared me for the pull of Avani, or for her. As the thrusters carried me upward, I couldn't resist one last glance at the planet below. Para, the enigmatic woman who had opened her world and her heart to me, was resolute, standing by the shimmering pond where we had first met. The thought of leaving her behind sent an unfamiliar pang through me, a sensation I couldn't shake as the blue and green of Avani disappeared into the black void of space. Destination, Captain. Eve's steady voice broke through my thoughts. I hesitated for a long moment before finally responding. Set course for Quantum Station 42, and Eve, bookmark this location. We'll be back. Understood, she replied, her tone calm and reassuring. The journey back felt longer than it should have. My thoughts were consumed by memories of Para, her luminous eyes, her touch, her unyielding sincerity. She had drawn me into her world with such ease, and now being apart from her felt unnatural. When the Endeavor docked at Quantum Station 42, I was greeted by the familiar clamor of human activity. Hissing steam, clanging metal, and the chatter of crew members filled the air. Yet amidst the chaos, I felt oddly detached. Ebony had changed me in ways I was only beginning to understand. Welcome back, Mr. Jansen, Carl, my head of operations, called out, clipboard in hand. How was the trip? Eventful, I replied, a faint smile tugging at my lips. Found something unexpected. Carl raised an eyebrow but refrained from prying. He was used to my cryptic answers by now. Well, there's a lot to catch up on, he said. Mining operations in the Delta Quadrant have hit a snag. Later, I interrupted, my tone firmer than intended. I need some time. Carl nodded, sensing the weight of my words. Of course, sir. Back in my quarters, I poured myself a glass of synth whiskey, the familiar burn grounding me momentarily. The stars outside my window stretched into infinity, each one holding the promise of a new discovery. Yet my mind kept drifting back to one singular point on the holomap, the coordinates where I'd left a piece of my heart. Weeks passed in a blur of meetings, reports, and the relentless grind of corporate obligations. No matter how busy I kept myself, the pull of Ivani remained as strong as ever. Late at night, I found myself tracing those coordinates on the map, reliving the moments I had shared with Para. Finally, I couldn't resist any longer. After ensuring my team could manage in my absence, I made the decision. Eve, prepare the Endeavor, I ordered, my heart racing with anticipation. We're going back. Coordinates locked, she responded, a faint hint of amusement in her otherwise steady tone. Ready for departure. The journey felt lighter this time, my purpose clear. As the familiar greens and purples of Avani filled the viewport, a wave of relief washed over me. The Endeavor touched down softly, the hiss of the landing gear blending with the gentle rustle of the alien flora. And there she was. Para stood at the edge of the pond, her eyes lighting up the moment she saw me. She ran toward me, her arms wrapping tightly around my neck in a fierce embrace. You came back, she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. I promised, didn't I? I murmured, holding her close. The days that followed were spent exploring Avani once more. Para delighted in showing me new wonders, hidden groves, iridescent creatures, and mysterious flora I'd never imagined. Each shared discovery deepened our bond, and her enthusiasm was infectious. One evening, as we sat by the pond, the setting sun bathed the water in gold. Para turned to me, her expression earnest. Stay, she whispered. Stay with me. I took her hands in mine, feeling the weight of her request. I can't stay forever, Para, I admitted softly. But I'll come back, again and again. A single tear slipped down her cheek, but she nodded, her voice unwavering. I will wait for you, Henry. Always. As the stars began to twinkle in the alien sky, I leaned in, pressing a tender kiss to her lips. I'll always come back, I promised, the words carrying the full weight of my conviction. In that moment, I knew that Avani was no longer just a planet, it was home, and Para was my anchor in the vastness of the universe.